It's a budget state Senate Democrats said would keep fare hikes under control and keep East River and Harlem bridges free. Tonight, while Governor Patterson says it's a plan that just won't work. More AIG bonus backlash. Attorney General Andrew Cuomo reveals that some of the executives who got retention bonuses from your bailout bucks don't even work at the company anymore. And Aaron Gobra, the city turns green for St. Patrick's Day.
This is New York Nightly News with Chuck Scarborough, live on New York Nonstop.
Good evening. Rejected. That's what Governor Patterson did today to a compromise budget offered by Senate Democrats, a budget aimed at avoiding huge increases in subway and bus fares. The governor's rejection comes just 1 week before a deadline to bail out the struggling MTA. The MTA says if that deadline is missed, riders will be forced to pay anywhere from 25 to 35% more for their Metro cards and see dramatic cuts in service. John Noel has details.
The New York State Senate's financial rescue plan for the Metropolitan Transportation Authority is being called disappointing by everyone from the governor to New York City business leaders to civic groups.
We need the legislators in Albany, particularly the Senate, and I'm willing to meet with both leaders of the Senate to act and find a plan that we can pass so that we can start moving
subway lines and hundreds of layoffs. In Midtown, John Noel, News 4 New York.
Federal prosecutors have officially filed notice of their intent to seize assets belonging to the wife and sons of disgraced financier Bernie Madoff. Court documents filed today in federal court show the prosecutors intend to seize tens of millions of dollars in unsecured loans and jewelry from Ruth Madoff and her sons. The IRS announced today that it will issue refunds to some of Madoff's investors who unknowingly paid taxes on phony earnings. For years, many Madoff clients paid taxes on investments that they eventually learned didn't even exist. Madoff remains behind bars tonight after pleading guilty last week to 11 criminal charges, including securities fraud and money laundering. Well, the outrage over the bonuses AIG is handing out to its employees is only getting worse. Today, Attorney General Andrew Cuomo discovered something even more astounding. 11 AIG employees who were paid bonuses no longer even work for the company. And they were paid with the $180 billion in taxpayer dollars you bailed the company out with. Jonathan Neitz is here now with more on this story for us. Jonathan?
Chuck, in all, 73 executives at AIG got bonuses of $1 million or more, the highest getting a $6 million payout. A congressional hearing set for tomorrow. AIG's CEO will be grilled about why these payments went forward. Working American families. A Morgan spokeswoman calls the $3 billion bonus a forgivable loan program, which will be spread out over 9 years to try to keep executives at the firm. Senator Menendez not satisfied. He wrote Treasury Secretary Geithner today demanding he act to stop the Morgan Stanley payout.
Interesting. Forgivable loan. Interesting little mechanism there. So it's not really a bonus. It's a loan. And we'll eventually forgive it so you don't have to pay it back.
Right.
But that's not going to fly.
Morgan Stanley saying they're going to pay it out over 9 years and that any executive who leaves over that time, there is a clawback provision to give that money back. Senator Menendez says a bonus is a bonus is a bonus, and it can't be paid until the taxpayers are repaid first.
Well, if Morgan Stanley pays the taxpayers back, no problem, right?
They haven't done it yet.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. The state of New Jersey has filed a suit against former executives and board members of Lehman Brothers. It's suing to recover $118 million lost by state pension funds. State officials allege misrepresentation by the company led the Department of the Treasury to purchase $182 million in Lehman securities between April and June of last year. Lehman filed for bankruptcy September in 2008. The bankruptcy means the state cannot sue the company, but it's going after the company's top brass to recoup some of the money. Well, if you missed it, today witness the 248th annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. As always, revelers marched along Fifth Avenue, and this year there were about 200,000 participants and 2 million more spectators. Our own Tom Yamas got to be part of it. Tom?
Well, Chuck, it's really amazing how quickly the city cleans up. Out here on Fifth Avenue, you wouldn't even know there was a parade if it weren't for these barricades and a few green hats you see people wearing across the avenue. Earlier today was a much different story. Hundreds of thousands packed Fifth Avenue to watch this parade, celebrating Irish heritage, but also honoring our heroes abroad and here at home.
Mix bagpipers, marching bands, Irish Americans, and all-American heroes, and you have the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
St. Patrick's Day into the night. Reporting live from Midtown, I'm Tom Yamas, New York Nightly News.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Parishioners joined Cardinal Edward Egan today as he celebrated his final St. Patrick's Day Mass as head of the New York Archdiocese. Cardinal Egan presided over Mass this morning at St. Patrick's Cathedral in Midtown. The 76-year-old is set to retire next month and will be replaced by Milwaukee Archbishop Timothy Dolan. Governor Patterson and Mayor Bloomberg were in attendance at this morning's service, joined by members of the armed forces. And more than 500,000 people took to the streets in Dublin, Ireland to watch that city's annual St. Patrick's Day parade. Bagpipes, floats, and marching bands were featured. And the theme of the event was "The Sky is the Limit." Many of the signs at the parade made reference to the recession and Ireland's 10% unemployment rate. Well, the luck of the Irish was seen in Washington today. The water in the White House fountains turned a shade of green. A first for 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but a bit of a tradition for the first family. In Chicago, the hometown of the Obamas, the Chicago River is turned green annually to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Well, it's official. Mayor Bloomberg can run for a third term. The extension of the city's term limits was approved by the Justice Department today. This was the last legal obstacle for the mayor, and now it's up to the federal government to approve the new measures to make sure minority voters are not discriminated against. A shocking attack after a Britney Spears concert left at least 2 people injured, one of them seriously. The victims said there was no private security, no police to help them during a beating they say lasted nearly an hour. Brian Thompson has the story.
You can see all the wiring.
His jaw tells much of this story, broken, wired shut.
A couple of blocks away from here. In Newark, Brian Thompson, News 4 New York.
And coming up as we continue, a mysterious outbreak at a Long Island nursing home forces all the patients to be quarantined. We'll have the latest on what's being done. Plus the chip attack that shocked our area. Now the victim's family is taking matters into their own hands. Tony Award-winning actress Natasha Richardson is in New York after suffering a head injury during a ski lesson, but little is known about her condition. Richardson fell on a beginner's slope at the Canadian ski resort Mont Tremblant. A resort spokeswoman said Richardson did not hit her head and said she was alert and speaking after she fell. She was taken to a local hospital about an hour later. Her husband, actor Liam Neeson, left a movie set to be with his wife. The family of a Connecticut woman attacked by that chimp last month is now suing the chimp's owner. Linda Baccaro is in the Content Center with details for us. Linda?
Well, Chuck, Charlotte Nash's family says the chimp's owner, Sandra Harold, was negligent and unable to control her chimpanzee. No comment from her lawyers on this suit. Chuck, back to you.
All right, Linda, thank you. Today, an aging Mafia soldier was convicted of murder for carrying out 4 hits for the Gambino crime family. A Brooklyn jury deliberated for 4 days before finding 62-year-old Charles Carneglia guilty. Carneglia's attorney insisted he drank too much to ever be a reliable assassin. Carneglia could get a life prison sentence when he's sentenced on June 22nd. Nassau County Police spent most of the early morning locked in a standoff with an enraged man in East Rockaway. Police arrived at the house on Phipps Avenue just after midnight after a neighbor called about a domestic dispute there. Inside the house, police say Scott Stroh was holding his wife and 6 children hostage. That standoff dragged on for nearly 6 hours.
As negotiators were making some progress, there came a point in time, a short time ago, where that individual just fled out the front door of his house, confronted our officers with a baseball bat, and was quickly apprehended.
The man's wife and children got out of the house unharmed. Police now say the standoff began with an argument over money. Well, Wall Street got back into rally mode today. The Dow Jones Industrials gained 178 points, closing at 73.95. The Nasdaq gauge was up 58 points to finish at 1462. CNBC's Rebecca Jarvis joins us now with a look at what got the stocks moving today. Rebecca.
Hey, Chuck. I think it was the Kelly Green in celebration of St. Patty's Day. Anyway, one big driver behind today's bounce was better than expected numbers. On the housing front, the government reporting a surprising rise in new home construction last month. Housing starts, they were up more than 22%, mostly on a jump in apartments and in condos. And permits for future construction were also up. They're showing signs of future economic activity, and that led a number of the home builder and financial stocks higher. The rally also getting a boost from the energy sector today. Crude oil prices, they rose to their highest level this year, above $49 a barrel. And that drove up energy stocks like ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips. And also technology stocks were in focus. They turned out to be big winners. Apple shares surging as it introduced the latest version of its operating software for its iPhone. Chuck, back to you. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Well, happy St. Patty's Day to you as well. But, if memory serves, one of your colleagues at CNBC called a market bottom a few days ago when we finally had the big rally. Would you be that bold?
Yeah, well, I'm not really in the business of calling bottoms, but there are a lot of people out there, a lot of analysts, a lot of people who follow this for their lifetime who are looking at the numbers, Chuck, and they are saying this is a time where we can see we've retested some of those lower levels. Stocks in the last couple of days, they've been continuously going higher, and one thing they point to that's a positive as far as this rally goes is that it's not sort of an overnight 800-point swing. Instead, it's a very slow and steady, and sometimes slow and steady wins the race.
All right, Rebecca, thank you very much. Appreciate you being with us. Still ahead tonight, the fire that forced several families out of their homes and needed more than 100 firefighters to extinguish. Plus, concertgoers charged for parking even if they don't drive. The new fee that people are having a fit over.